Hi, everyone. Well, welcome to Leisrealtalk. All right, it's Tuesday and another week has started. It's summer and the weather has been unpredictable. Sunshine one moment, thunderstorms the next. Hot one day and cool the next. In many ways, it's the perfect metaphor for CCP politics, as well as geopolitics. First of all, the Russia-Ukraine war has dominated the headlines lately, along with the names such as Putin, Zelensky, and Trump. But why has the situation become so complex and unpredictable? Tonight, I want to offer a different perspective. It might have less to do with Europe or the US and more to do with Xi Jinping and his uneasy relationship with Vladimir Putin. And before that, let me give you an update on the latest rumors about Xi Jinping's status. As we get close to CCP leaders' summer retreat in Beidaihe, every political faction in China has put its rumor mills into overdrive, churning out leaks, whispers, and speculations to shape public opinion, dominate narrative, and instill fear and doubt in us. Some of them are rooted in fact, others in half-truth, and some are in outright lies or fabrications. Recently, some of you has written to me asking me about the wave or the waves of rumors floating around. Let me be honest, some of them are simply crazy, and they come in all flavors. Let me try to address them. First, there's the alleged leak of Xi Jinping's health report. According to the document, he is showing early signs of Parkinson's disease. He also reportedly suffered from underactive thyroid. Let me just show a not very healthy looking Xi Jinping. Other than that, he has chronic heart issues, reduced kidney function, high cholesterol, and a fatty liver linked to alcohol consumption. It's a very professional report, but to be honest, I don't believe it's real. I don't believe it's Xi Jinping's report. But its circulation has certainly put the spotlight on Xi's health. Then there's the rumor that his wife, Peng Liyuan, has divorced him and moved out of Zhongnanhai. Let me show a picture of her. And she allegedly wrote to Li Keqiang's widow, insisting she had nothing to do with her late husband's death, but stated that she believed Xi Jinping was capable of ordering the former premier's death. There are also rumors claiming that Peng Liyuan is intimately involved in Xi Jinping's political comeback, and she's accused of interfering in military matters. Some even go as far as to claim that she was the mastermind in Li Keqiang's death. Others say she was involved in a love affair with one of her secretaries. All of these rumors involving Xi Jinping's wife, how do I put it? I mean, they can't be all true or all false. But the fact that people are gossiping so much about her private life, shows that Xi Jinping's prestige is gone. And there are also whispers that Tai Chi, Xi Jinping's right-hand man and the party affair chief, there he is reportedly, it has flipped to the anti-Xi camp and is reportedly backed by Zhang Youxia and the military. And Xi Jinping's top spy, State Security Minister Chen Yixing, the spy chief, hasn't been seen in public for a while and is rumored to be in trouble. Meanwhile, Public Security Minister Wang Xiaohong appears to have lost control over his ministry, because two of his deputy ministers, are recently reassigned to other posts. So the MSS, the Ministry of State Security, and the MPS, the Ministry of Public Security, two important knife handles of Xi are now rumored to be in the hands of anti-Xi forces. Now, if you're like me, someone who tracks almost everything coming out of China, it can feel dizzy or dizzying. I cannot possibly verify all these claims. And frankly, it doesn't matter if each detail is true, because the broader reality is very clear. Xi Jinping's downfall is no longer a matter of if, but when. At least 3 independent sources have said that a formal announcement about the power shift could come as early as August. And that's next month, right around the corner. However, I must say this is a big however. There is one disclosure that truly stands out and deserves our attention, close attention. And it involves a defecting Chinese diplomat and a leaked contingency plan Beijing allegedly developed in case of a Russian defeat in Ukraine. This story isn't just about China-Russia dynamics. It also explains Foreign Minister Wang Yi's recent puzzling remark in Brussels. Remember him? Oh, I'm sorry. This is not him. Here's Wang Yi. It may even explain why Putin is refusing to back off in Ukraine, despite Trump's repeated effort or repeated offer to help. Most importantly, it exposes the CCP's long-term global ambition. And in my opinion, it's arguably the most important leak to come out of China in recent days. So let's unpack that tonight. All right, let me first things first. Remember 2 weeks ago, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi made a remark during a meeting with EU Foreign Policy Chief in Brussels. I remember it's July 2nd. That's when the meeting took place. But Wang's remark shocked the world and caused widespread speculation. And he said, this is what he said. He said, the Chinese government cannot afford for Russia to lose in Ukraine because China fears that the US would then turn its full strategic focus onto Beijing. Now, this unusually candid statement marked a dramatic departure from Beijing's previous position, which had been strategically vague to maintain the illusion of neutrality. The remark was first reported by the South China Morning Post, a publication that has increasingly become an English-language propaganda mouthpiece for Beijing. As such, the statement can be regarded as Beijing's official position on Ukraine. Now, his comment exposed CCP's real strategy, which is to prolong the war in Ukraine in hopes of diverting US strategic resources and attention toward Europe. So Wang's blunt admission left many China analysts and international observers baffled. Why such honesty? That's rare among CCP officials. Unable to explain his motives, some dismissed it as a diplomatic blunder. Others speculated that Wang had defected to the anti-Xi camp and was motivated to distance himself from Xi Jinping and his policy. After all, exposing Xi's plan could be the first step. But the truth is far from what it appears. It's far more complex than most people assume. According to information shared by CCP insiders and corroborated by political chatter circulating in Beijing right now, Wang's so-called slip of the tongue was the response to an incident that leaked CCP's top secret. Wang's controversial remark, I shouldn't say controversial, it wasn't controversial. I mean, it's his candid, his honesty, his rare honesty was actually damage control. It was CCP's true intention was to appease Russian President Putin, who had reportedly been enraged by a leaked CCP report brought to him by a defecting Chinese official. So on July 12th, Chinese dissident and law professor Yuan Hongbin revealed the entire backstory on social media. So the incident began in late May. A Chinese official working in a sensitive department within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had a serious confrontation or issue or fallout with his boss. Out of frustration and possibly fear, he fled to Russia with the wife of his boss, and they sought political asylum. Why the boss's wife? Well, we don't know, but the defection sounds like it's linked to a romantic affair. But anyways, to prove his value, the defecting official handed the Russians a top secret CCP document. The contents outline Beijing's contingency plan in the event of a Russian defeat in Ukraine and the potential collapse of the Putin regime. So according to Professor Yuan's sources, the plan was based on a core assumption, CCP's assumption. If Putin's government were to fall, the US and Europe would act swiftly to support a pro-West political force in Moscow and reshape Russia's geopolitical alignment. In response, and under Xi Jinping's strategic directives, the CCP prepared solutions for two scenarios. Scenario number one involved supporting the Communist Party of Russia, or a multi-party coalition led by the Communist Party, to retain control of Russia and guide post-collapse Russian politics or post-Putin Russian politics. The goal was to take advantage of the chaos in the post-Putin era to restore a base for the international communist movement in Europe. And this is plan number one. Plan number two, or scenario number two, will be triggered if Western powers proved too dominant for scenario one to succeed. And in that case, if the West managed to install a pro-West government in Moscow, the CCP would aim to split the country. Beijing would back the Communist Party of Russia and its allies in establishing an Eastern Russian Federation east of the Ural Mountains. I think, yeah. Ural. I think that's in Russian. Ural Mountains. And at the same time, China would deploy troops to secure the vast region from the Urals to the Pacific, essentially Siberia. So Beijing wants to use military force to split Russia and build a vassal state in eastern Russia. This will allow Beijing to gain strategic depth and securing vital energy reserves in preparation for a future Taiwan Strait conflict. So to summarize, CCP's plans, or Xi Jinping's plans, are one, to revive a communist regime in Russia, or two, to use force to divide Russia and establish a communist Russian state east of the Urals. And this, in essence, was the content of the confidential document handed to Moscow by the defector. This strategy or plan amounted to a betrayal because it's a plan to stab Russia in the back if things fell apart or if things fall apart. So how did Putin respond? Well, according to Professor Yuan, rumors swirled in Beijing's political circles that by mid-June, Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs had already returned the defecting Chinese official to Beijing, along with the wife of his boss, who had fled with him. And along with the two individuals, Russia also delivered a diplomatic note to Beijing, and it reportedly contained only one chilling message. And here it is. It says, Russia is an unshakable power and will remain so. That strength is safeguarded by nuclear weapons capable of destroying any potential adversary. So what do you think? The statement delivered to Beijing by Russia amounts to a nuclear threat. Putin was clearly angry. But then why did he return the two Chinese defectors to Beijing? Because he wanted to use the incident as leverage to strike a deal that would serve his interests. Wang Yi's statement in Europe may have been part of that deal. So according to CCP insiders, the defection triggered massive panic within the CCP leadership. In response, the CCP is now scrambling to finalize a secret strategic agreement with Russia, intended to be signed during Putin's scheduled visit to Beijing for the September 3rd military parade to commemorate the victory of World War II, which the CCP didn't fight. That victory belongs to ROC. Anyways, so back to this agreement that Beijing has with Putin. So Xi Jinping's greatest fear is that the betrayal revealed in the defectors document could push Putin to abandon the Sino-Russian alliance and pivot toward the United States and Donald Trump. At this point, Xi Jinping's authority within the party is under serious challenge. He lacks leverage and cannot afford to lose Putin, both as a friend and as a strategic ally. It was precisely this fear that drove Wang Yi, under Xi Jinping's direct orders, to make such a revealing statement in Brussels, effectively discarding China's diplomatic facade on the world stage. Now, from Putin's perspective, cutting ties with China would be self-defeating. He still depends heavily on Beijing for military and financial aid in his war effort. So rather than escalating tensions, Putin used the defection or the defection incident to demand more support. And Beijing had no choice but to comply. I mean, Xi Jinping, I should say Xi Jinping had no choice but to comply, given the predicament he's in now. The proposed strategic agreement would formalize China's full spectrum support for Russia's geopolitical ambitions in Europe, including assistance in restoring the former Soviet Union's territorial footprint, namely reclaiming all of Ukraine and the 3 Baltic states. In return, Russia would agree to provide China with strategic depth and energy security in the event of a conflict over Taiwan. Additionally, Russia would help China establish underwater nuclear submarine launch sites in the Arctic to deter the United States. Moscow would also commit to applying military pressure on Japan to weaken its resolve and ability to intervene in the event something happens in the Taiwan Strait. So when Wang Yi declared that CCP cannot afford for Russia to lose, he was not just offering an assessment, he was sending a message. He was telling the world in no uncertain terms that the CCP intends to support Russia to the bitter end and prolong the war in Ukraine in order to wear down US strategic capacity. On the surface, his remark appeared to be directed at an EU official, but in truth, it was a pledge to Putin, right? A plea wrapped in loyalty. Otherwise, how could Wang Yi so openly discard CCP's long cultivated image as a peace-loving mediator? Right? It wouldn't be possible. Unless, of course, it was part of the price Beijing had to pay, right? The mask of a peace-loving mediator is off, not by accident, by demand from Putin. All right, so this is what Professor Yuan said. He said, what should deeply concern us, and especially the international community, is not simply the CCP's shamelessness and dishonesty in global diplomacy, but the strategic ambition this incident has exposed. If you look at whether it's the document handed to Russia by the defecting Chinese diplomat or Wang Yi's public statement aimed at earning Putin's forgiveness, whether it's supporting Russia's continued invasion of Ukraine to divert America's attention and resources, or planning to back the Russian Communist Party in establishing a puppet regime if the Putin regime collapses. These strategies all lead back to a single goal, which is expanding the CCP's global communist sphere of influence. So, of course, Putin and the Russians are fully aware of this. Despite all the best buddy and limitless collaboration rhetoric, China and Russia have never truly trusted each other. I recently made a video about the history of about the history of Russia-China relations in my other channel, Leisrealtalk. Chris, if you can copy the link here or in the description of the program, I'd appreciate it. So check it out if you haven't already. It's a nice add-on program to today's talk to understand the complex Russia-China relations from a historical perspective. So Russia doesn't trust China at all. Just last month, Western media outlets exposed an 8-page confidential memo from Russia's Federal Security Bureau, or FSB. Where is that? Oh, here we go. Yeah. And this confidential memo identifies China as an adversary. And 6 Western intelligence agencies have verified the document's authenticity. And the report warned that China possesses a serious threat to Russia. FSB accuses Beijing of its increasing effort to recruit Russian spies to steal sensitive military technology, sometimes by luring Russian scientists or targeting Russians married to Chinese nationals. I mean, it's the same strategy they use elsewhere in the world. It's just not unique to Russians. It's everywhere, in the US, in Europe, in Japan, South Korea, Australia, everywhere. Same strategy. And then the Russian report or memo also said that on the Ukrainian battlefield, Chinese agents have been collecting first-hand information about Western weapons used by Ukrainian forces. At the same time, Chinese companies and academic institutions have been quietly expanding their presence and influence inside Russia during the war under the cover of aid programs. And also, Russian intelligence reportedly also fears that China is laying the groundwork to claim Russian territory, especially in sparsely populated but strategically significant regions near the shared border. So if you watch my program in Leisrealtalk, you will understand the historical dispute over the border. And the Russian report also said that Chinese academics, under the central government's guidance, are allegedly playing a key role in legitimizing these future claims that these territories are Chinese. So the CCP is actively preparing to take advantage of a weakened Russia after the war. It wants to repeat what Russia once did to China a century ago. In the early 1900s, the Russian Soviets helped establish the Chinese Communist Party. Now, the CCP wants to return the favor by helping the Russian Communist Party regain power. And this idea bears Xi Jinping's fingerprints all over. Since 2017, Xi has taken it upon himself to revive the global communist movement. And he has positioned himself as the movement's savior. And China never truly sees Russia as a trusted partner either. Um, Putin has never viewed Xi Jinping as a reliable buddy. The two are using each other to navigate their respective predicaments at the moment. So this leaked Chinese strategy has only reinforced one conclusion for Putin. He cannot afford to lose this war. If he does, Russia's real nightmare begins not from the West, but from Beijing stabbing him in the back. And that's more detrimental than what the West would do. So at the same time, Putin understands that Xi Jinping needs him right now in his internal political struggle. If Putin props up Xi, he secures China's continued support. But if he lets Xi fall, so goes China's aid. So it's very clear that he's going to support Xi Jinping to help him stay in power. At the same time, he isn't backing down from war. He isn't ready for peace talk yet. Putin's entanglement with the Chinese has prevented him from negotiating peace. That's my opinion. I hope the Trump administration sees this clearly. It's not Putin, it's the Chinese behind him that's making everything unnecessarily difficult and complex. Now, you may ask me a question. Well, how does this play out in the CCP's internal political struggle? What about Xi's enemies, Zhang Youxia and the party elders? Are they on board with this strategy or not? Well, it's very interesting. First of all, they simply don't have the bandwidth to deal with foreign policy at the moment. They're preoccupied with internal issues like leadership reshuffles and consolidating power and preparing for their fourth plenum. That's what they're busy with. Second of all, they have little interest in stepping right now. They don't want to clean up Xi Jinping's foreign policy mess. There's only one exception, except the trade talk with the Trump administration. Other than that, they want to let Xi Jinping handle the fallout until the day he steps down, because this will allow them to pin the blame on Xi. Right. So the only thing that they want to be involved at the moment is the trade talk, but other than that, they're not going to step in because it's not going to gain them anything. Third, they may not entirely oppose Xi Jinping's post-Putin Russia strategy. Reclaiming historical Chinese territory from a weakened Russia could be seen as a strategic opportunity. If war is inevitable, the PLA would likely prefer fighting the post-Putin Russians over fighting their own people in Taiwan, backed by the Americans and the entire Western ally. So in my view, this strategy reflects not just Xi Jinping's thinking, but a broader consensus among the CCP's top leadership. The CCP has classified the defection incident as top secret, but with the party in disarray and internal opposition to Xi Jinping growing, its once impenetrable wall of secrecy is now riddled with leaks. I cannot independently verify the above claim, but it carries weight, in my opinion. And that's why, out of all the noises coming from the Chinese rumor mills, I choose this one to share with you because I think it's important. So with that said, I wrap up my talk. All right, let's see. All right, let me see what people have for me. Questions, comments, super stickers. All right, let's see. All right, let me first acknowledge the people. Oh, Linda Uzi. Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much. All right. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, there's another one. Alex Salinas. Well, thank you, Alex. Oh, I love that. And flowers. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Um, all right. Mike Stewart. Thank you, Mike. All right, I think that's all. And let me take some questions. Let me see if people have questions for me. For next Netflix forum, um, oh, where did that go? It just disappeared on me. All right, I don't know. That question disappeared on me. Sorry. Oh, Bobby Bronco. Here we go. Bobby Bronco. Lei, why do you think Albanese is kissing up so much to Li Jinping? You mean Xi Jinping? Yeah. Unfortunately, I think Albanese is definitely more pro-Beijing than his predecessor. I forgot his name. What's his name? He was the prime minister during COVID. Yeah, I prefer him over Albanese. And then, I mean, if you look at the Japanese PM and then the South Korean president is definitely pro-Beijing. They're all more pro-Beijing than their political opponents. So isn't that interesting? I mean, in the past couple of years, though, despite all the um, rhetorics, about, you know, a strategic decoupling with China, the world has somehow elected politicians who are friendlier toward Beijing. I wonder why. And there's a pattern, right? And there's a pattern. Manny Kyla, does China take back lands it ceded to Russia? Well, it sounds like they're planning to. I mean, the Chinese people would love that. I mean, if you watch my video in the other channel, you will understand the harm that the Chinese felt that they have suffered from the Russians. So does your question, does China take back lands? They certainly want to. Let's see what happens. All right, Michael in NC. Well, thank you, Michael. Tom Nero. Well, thank you, Tom. All right, let's see. Question, comments. Okay, let's see. No question. I'm just trying to see if there's anything addressed to me. Oh, here's Moonwalker. Where did it go? Okay. Do you wonder why countries elected pro-Beijing leaders? Words, election interference? Didn't we hear something about? I mean, the U.S., the CIA. I don't remember whether it was CIA or FBI. There were some documents that were released within the U.S. government or agency about U.S. interference of elections in the U.S. And some people believe that the Chinese have interfered in the South Korean elections. I mean, if they can do that to the U.S., they can do that to all other democratic countries, right? I mean, the only I should say country in this case that they can interfere with is Taiwan. I mean, the one that they want to interfere the most is Taiwan, but Taiwan cannot be interfered with because they use manual count. Have you seen how the Taiwanese, I mean, they have this flawless ballot reading mechanism. It's manually read in front of the public. So it's impossible to falsify the ballots, right? And you can't, it's tabulated manually. So, and it was the entire operation is smooth. They got the election results, at the end of the night. So, and it was run by volunteers. So I think the world needs to learn from Taiwan. If they can have a transparent election, all other countries should be able to. And I think technology in this case is not helping us. We need to go back to the good old methods of counting paper ballots. Anyways, that's my view. All right. Someone asked me from Decade Gone, what are your thoughts about Nvidia can sell chips to China again? I'm not, I saw that today, but I don't know what type of chips they're selling to China. Uh, the CEO, I mean, he had a call or a conversation with Trump today. So I assume that the US government is okay with him selling chips to China. So it depends on what type of chips he sells or the company sells. Someone asked me, are you going to China anytime soon? No, not when CCP is in power. All right, let's see. Fascinating. They're smarter than the Americans. Taiwan. All right, let's see. There are a lot of conversations back and forth, but there aren't questions addressed to me. I think I reached the bottom. That's all. That seems to be all. And the Republic of China is Taiwan, is the legitimate government of China, not the other way around. You're right. That's a very good point. All right. So that should be it for tonight because I'm not getting any questions. That's the end of the questions. Let's see. You can become a president of China someday. Oh, I do not want to be. I do not want to be. Someone asked me, Godot. Any news from Bo Xilai? No, I don't think so. I think he's still locked up, even though his son is trying to change his PR image in Taiwan. On Father's Day, his son posted something. But I mean, the Chinese don't have a good memory of this guy. Bo Xilai he's got blood on his hand. I mean, he's widely known to be this man who killed his mistress, at least one of his mistresses. I mean, what kind of man would kill their woman? I mean, this man got too much blood on his hand. Tom Trump 50 to end the war tariff. Will that coincide with Putin's China visit? Trump's 50% tariffs, will that coincide with Putin's China visit? Well, Putin's China visit is September the 3rd. Actually, the Chinese are trying to invite Trump to join that parade as well. But I don't think Trump is going. It will be extremely bad for his image. I think his cabinet is advising him not to go. But the Chinese is working very hard trying to get him to go. But then Trump will impose 100% tariffs on any country that does business with Russia if peace doesn't come in 50 days, remember? And that country is China, right? So China will be slapped with another 100% tariff if there's no peace deal. So I think Trump is making it difficult for Xi Jinping and Putin to create an alliance because there's a price tag on the Chinese. All right. That seems to be all. All right. That's all of the questions I've addressed. There was one forwarded by Chris. Do you think that the African immigration to China shows the weakness of the CCP, or could it be something else? CCP seems to have a hard time with population. I can't really say that there's an African immigration, but China has accepted a lot of students from Africa. But these are really the African princelings. they're not ordinary Africans. They're really the children or the grandchildren of the political elites in Africa. I mean, the purpose is to influence these people. And once they go back to Africa, and then, I mean, they will be the next generation leader, and so that China will own them, right, forever. So that's their influence campaign. I don't think it's that whole I don't think the idea stems from a population perspective. I do not think so at all. Someone asked me, what's the status of leadership in China? Is Xi's leadership still strong? I think the two sides are still fighting. I mean, the direction, the trajectory is that Xi Jinping is going to be on his way out. But how is he going to exit is undecided. That's being negotiated and fought over. So that's unknown. But he is gonna exit from the leadership platform. That's certain. All right. I think I might have gotten a few super stickers. iMac QT. Well, thank you, iMac. All right, here's a question forwarded by Chris from Brian. It's very worrisome about how so much international infrastructure is owned and controlled by China, such as electricity, power, and ports, logistics. Do you agree? I agree. I think the easiest solution is to, I think the world doesn't have a problem of interacting with the Chinese people, right? The problem is the regime, is the communist ideology. So as long as the CCP becomes history, I think a lot of the problems will be solved. It's only when you have CCP ruling China, then it will never give up its ambition to rule over the world, because that's the communist dream or idea. Part of its ideology is to conquer the entire world with communism. So that's the scary part. All right. That should be all. I thank you very much for joining me. And I will see you in a few days. All right. Bye. Thank you. Bye.